Hello, this is Dr. Dawn Michael, and welcome to my channel. I do know that there's some construction going on outside my office, so I'm going to try to talk into my mic, and hopefully you can hear me over that. Today's topic is going to be very interesting. We're going to be focusing on straight men that are aroused by homosexual acts or same-sex body parts. And believe it or not, this does exist, and there's quite a few men who have a great deal of confusion around this. And you may be one of those men if you're listening to this video. And I have actually helped hundreds of men to feel better about this situation and to help them move past this and to understand that it doesn't mean that you are gay if you have an attraction or an arousal to same sex or a same sex sexual act. So some men may find that something happened to them in their childhood that triggered this, something that they didn't ask to happen, and it may have been part of their sexual pattern. And so it's something that they carried forward to their adult life that they now fantasize about, but yet they are not attracted to having a relationship with the same sex, with another man. It just happens to be that they're aroused by either a body part or a sexual act. This can also happen from a time when a person was exposed to a video that showed a same sex scenario, and it's something that turned them on, but again, it was more of the sexual act or the body part and not necessarily, again, wanting to have a relationship. Some people could call this bisexual. Some people may say that they're gay, but I'm really trying to help men to distinguish this. And so some of the problem that takes place is it's unnatural that they would see this particular act, okay? Or they were unnaturally touched and it somehow became part of their sexual pattern. So if they had not been introduced to this, it's not something that they would normally have been attracted to. But nowadays, especially with pornography, they can really hone in and make somebody, to a certain extent, be attracted to a sexual act or a body part. And it's not uncommon that this happens, but men, more so than women, will always jump to the conclusion that they must be gay because somehow they're turned on by it. But if you see a woman that watched two women and maybe that sexual act turned her on, you wouldn't necessarily jump to the fact that she was homosexual or that she even wanted to be in a homosexual relationship. And so for men, I think it becomes much more confusing because there is still that quote unquote stigma that if you are attracted to a sexual act, therefore you must be that act. And what I'm trying to say is that that's not true. That you can still be a straight male and you can still be aroused by that, but that doesn't mean that you're gay. It also doesn't mean that that act necessarily is something that really turns you on if you hadn't put so much energy and effort and focus into it and then started to question yourself, so you went back and watched it over and over again, or decided that you needed to go out and try it to prove it to yourself that you either were gay or were not gay. And so if you were to talk to a man that was gay, his idea of sexuality or how he feels about himself in a relational sense would be that not only is he attracted to a sexual situation with the same sex, but there's the emotional attachment to them, the wanting to be close, the wanting to have a relationship, just that overwhelming feeling of wanting to be with the same sex. So we're talking about two different things here. And the one where the straight male is attracted to the sexual act or the sexual body part is not the same thing as wanting to have an emotional connection, relationship, and wanting to be with a man. And in fact, many of these men that have these attraction towards the sexual act or the male body part are truly attracted to women, and they find that their sex lives with a woman is much more enjoyable, desirable, and that they are attracted to women. And so therefore that's where their confusion comes into play. And so if that's you and you've confused yourself, what I would suggest that you do is you take some time to unravel when it may have happened and to really think to yourself about how you feel and how much of this attraction is artificial, meaning that when you watch the porn or you think about it, that you have now obsessed and put so much energy and effort into this thinking that you have created this attraction that normally wouldn't have been there. Once you can sort that out and you can take away the shame, the guilt, the humiliation, usually it becomes less exciting. So there seems to be this idea of you get like an adrenaline rush with it, or there's something that shouldn't be there that creates this excitement. And so your brain releases chemicals. All of that can go into it, and it can make you feel like you're more excited or you're more attracted than you naturally would be. Also, when you're feeling this way, you could be buying products that go with it because they're often available. You can be going into chat. You can be going to hire, you know, men that may. That you may want to try a sexual relationship with or get into some type of a situation that you normally wouldn't get into, just to justify again whether you truly feel this way or you don't feel this way. And so it's important to take a step back from all of this, to put away the pornography, to start to think about other things that turn you on, you know, maybe a relationship that you're in, to focus on other things in your life and step back a little bit instead of trying to watch more of it to justify if you are or you aren't, because that's usually what gets people in trouble. So let's say that you have a man that watched a sexual act between two men, or saw a body part that maybe it aroused them for a second and they were like, okay, you know, whatever, it turned me on, I thought that was interesting, or and they didn't really think much more about it. They just kind of went on with their day and that was that. So they didn't put the energy or effort into it. They weren't confused about it. They kind of just said, oh, you know, they're actors. They make it look hot. There was people that were enjoying it. And so when you see an enjoyment, a sexual enjoyment, sometimes again that raises your adrenaline. And they kind of just left it at that. They're like, okay, whatever, no big deal. Okay, that probably, they're not going to be confused over this because it's not something that they would then went back and said, oh my gosh, you know, does this mean that I am now homosexual? Does this mean that now I don't like women? And so then that's when the person gets kind of sucked into this because they start questioning everything and then they start shaming themselves, and so you can see how that can pull one person in where the other person is just like, ah, no big deal. So you really have to reevaluate what your thinking pattern was when you first started to realize that this particular sexual act turned you on. And so you can decide for yourself, well, did I make a big deal about this and now it's creating this attraction? Or could it be that possibly I am attracted to both men and women? Because, of course, there's that possibility too. But that's something that you really need to work out in your mind to see which is which. And then also, there's the other idea of okay, so maybe I am attracted to both. That's fine. But I don't want to have a relationship with a man. I just want to have a relationship with a woman. I'm not going to hyper focus on it, and it's really not that big of a deal. So it doesn't become that big of a deal. So you can walk around as a woman per se, and another man would not judge a woman if she had had some type of a sexual relationship with another woman. He wouldn't say, "Oh, she's definitely gay" or "she's definitely bisexual." It would be no big deal, and it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal to the woman either. But because men judge themselves more critically, um, they actually create a problem for themselves. So I just wanted to bring you that information and help some of you out. And if you are confused, it's really important that you work this out, because if it starts affecting your life negatively, where it affects your health, it affects your relationship, it affects your work, that's not something that is part of a healthy lifestyle. That is not something that's going to bring you happiness in your life, joy in your life, bring you purpose, and make your life better. And at that point, you need to get help for it, or you need to help yourself if it is something that really is starting to affect you negatively. So if you have a question, you can always reach me on my website at thehappyspouse.com. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, share it, and leave your comment. As you know, I believe everyone deserves to have a healthy sex life, and so do you. Make it a great day.